The Golden State Warriors are watching the free agent wing market shrink right before their eyes, and the Los Angeles Lakers keep picking up the pieces. On Monday, the Lakers officially agreed to a one-year, the $3.3 million deal with veteran wing Matisse Thybulle. The signing is straightforward on paper: a minimum contract, a known quantity, and a player who can contribute defensively without breaking the bank. But for Warriors fans, it stings. Golden State had every opportunity to pursue Thybulle and passed. Now he is headed to Los Angeles to strengthen a division rival. Hey, what's up everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do. And honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. This is not the first time this offseason that the Lakers have swooped in on a wing target the Warriors could have added at bargain prices. Just days before the Thybulle announcement, Los Angeles locked up Ziaire Williams on a veteran minimum deal. Williams is 24 years old, doesn't carry a significant injury history, and brings the kind of two-way upside that Golden State desperately needs at the position. He went to the Lakers instead. 2 minimum contract wings in the span of a week. Both deals the Warriors could have made. Neither happened. The reason Golden State is being passive in the wing market is understandable on the surface. The organization is focused on the possibility of signing LeBron James, whose free agency decision remains the central storyline of the entire Warriors offseason. If LeBron signs, the forward depth picture changes dramatically. The front office appears unwilling to commit resources or roster spots to secondary options while that door is still open. The problem is that door has been open for weeks now, and the market is not waiting. There are real questions about how much Thybulle would have helped anyway. He is 29 years old and has appeared in just 45 games combined over the past 2 seasons due to injuries. His availability is a legitimate concern, and the Warriors have already dealt with enough depth issues caused by players who can't stay on the floor. When he has been healthy, Thybulle has been one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. His three-point shooting has also improved, with the wing converting at a 41.1% clip from deep over the last 2 seasons, a number that would make him a useful contributor in Golden State's offensive system. But the Warriors still didn't move. Outside of LeBron James, the only other free agent wing that Golden State has been publicly connected to is DeMar DeRozan. That pursuit carries its own complications. DeRozan is a respected veteran, but whether he fits alongside the current roster construction is debatable. More importantly, DeRozan is likely to have significant interest from multiple teams, including contenders with more realistic title odds than Golden State heading into next season. Counting on him to choose the Warriors at the minimum would be optimistic. If the Warriors strike out on both James and DeRozan, which is increasingly looking like the most probable outcome, they could enter the 2026-27 season without adding a single proven NBA caliber wing to the roster. That is a serious problem for a team that already has injury concerns at the forward position. The projected rotation as things stand would lean heavily on Draymond Green and Gary Payton II, with the final standard roster spot possibly going to guard LJ Cryer. Lajay Jones, a developmental prospect with 2-way contract upside, could join the group. But Jones is not yet at the level where he can be relied upon for meaningful minutes in a competitive NBA setting. That leaves Guy Santos and rookie Axel Lendeborg as the primary wing contributors expected to carry a heavy load. Both players have shown real promise, but asking 2 young players, one unproven at the NBA level and one just entering his first full season, to anchor the wing rotation while Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody recover from knee injuries is a significant gamble. Santos has flashed the ability to function as a versatile complementary piece capable of cutting, scoring near the paint, and defending multiple positions. Lendeborg impressed during Summer League and has the defensive tools to make an impact immediately. But Summer League performances and regular season demands are very different things. The Warriors are betting that the LeBron situation resolves itself in their favor, and that the combination of young talent and veteran presence will be enough to compete. It is a calculated risk, but every minimum contract wing that goes elsewhere makes that calculation a little harder to justify. The Lakers are building depth at the position. Golden State is standing still. At some point, the wait for LeBron has to be worth it, because the cost of waiting is adding up game by game, signing by signing. Meanwhile, the Lakers now boast a deeper, more versatile wing rotation than the Warriors heading into the same conference. That alone should be a wake-up call. Golden State cannot afford to watch every bargain option land elsewhere and then hope internal development covers the gap. Thybulle may not have been the answer, but he represented exactly the kind of low-risk, high defensive upside addition that this team needs. The Warriors passed, and now a division rival is better for it. The offseason clock is ticking, and Golden State's options are running out faster than anyone inside the organization is probably willing to admit publicly. The window is not closed for the Golden State Warriors, but it is narrowing faster than the franchise would like to admit. Head coach Doc Rivers, however, still sees a path, and he laid out exactly what it would take in a recent interview that is worth taking seriously. This era of Warriors basketball, by nearly every measure, feels like it is approaching its final chapter. Stephen Curry is entering his age 38 season. Jimmy Butler, the team's most significant trade acquisition in recent memory, will miss at least the beginning of the 2026-27 season as he recovers from an ACL tear, and when he returns, he will be 37 years old. Moses Moody is also recovering from a knee injury. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs have positioned themselves at the top of the Western Conference with younger, deeper rosters. Golden State's odds of scratching out a deep playoff run, let alone competing for another championship, look slim on paper. But Rivers is not the type to concede anything on paper. Speaking with Warriors reporter Monte Poole of NBC Sports Bay Area, the veteran head coach drew a direct line between this Golden State squad and the 2008 Boston Celtics team he led to an NBA championship. That Boston group had a veteran core, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett, all of whom were over 30 that season. But they also surrounded that core with younger players like Rajon Rondo, Glenn Davis, and Kendrick Perkins, who brought energy, effort, and developmental upside to the rotation. Rivers described the dynamic as a push-pull relationship. The veterans pull the young players up by example, while the young players push the older ones every day in practice. Rivers believes a similar formula can work in San Francisco. The key is finding the right combination of veteran contributors and young players who are ready to take a meaningful step forward in their development. Brandon Podziemski is perhaps the most important name in that conversation. The 22-year-old guard has shown flashes of his ability over the past 2 seasons, moments where he looks capable of being a reliable on-ball scorer and playmaker at the NBA level. But his inconsistency has been the persistent problem. In a playoff environment, teams cannot afford rotation players who cycle in and out of rhythm. Podziemski needs to find a level of consistency that has so far eluded him. Guy Santos presents a different kind of opportunity. The Brazilian forward has spent time developing his game in Golden State's system, and last season showed signs of real progress as a complementary offensive piece. His value lies in his ability to cut to the basket, score in the paint, and defend multiple positions. If Santos can build on that momentum and establish himself as a dependable option off the bench, it would significantly expand the Warriors' offensive toolkit heading into a season where they will need every weapon they can develop. Then there is Yaxel Lendeborg, the team's 2026 first-round draft pick who turned heads with a strong summer league performance. Lendeborg's defensive activity is already at a level that suggests he can contribute immediately on that end. The bigger question is whether his offensive efficiency from summer league translates to the regular season. If it does, Lendeborg becomes one of the most important players on this entire roster. Not just for this season, but for the long-term direction of the franchise. Rivers also hinted at the importance of veteran contributors like DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford playing meaningful roles within the rotation. These are players who understand winning basketball, who can provide stability in high-pressure moments, and whose presence could help bridge the gap between the team's young pieces and its aging core. The challenge for Golden State is that all of these developments need to happen simultaneously, and in a Western Conference that is stacked with elite competition. Stephen Curry remains one of the most dangerous offensive players in the history of the game, and his presence alone gives this team a fighting chance in any given night. But championship teams are built on depth and development, not on one superstar carrying the entire load. Doc Rivers has seen that blueprint work before. He coached a team that wasn't supposed to win a title in 2008 and found the formula. Whether he can find it again with a very different group of players in a very different competitive environment remains the central question of the Warriors' 2026-27 season. The pieces are there, but they need to come together in a way that nobody outside of the organization seems to fully believe is possible yet. What makes the situation particularly compelling is that Rivers is not offering false optimism. He is pointing to a proven model and suggesting that the conditions for replicating it exist within this current group. The Warriors are not pretending the path is easy. They know what the Western Conference looks like and understand the health risks that come with an aging roster dealing with multiple significant injuries. But Rivers has been in this exact spot before. He has coached veteran teams that were written off and found ways to make runs that nobody anticipated. If the young players answer the call and the veterans stay healthy long enough to lead them through it, Golden State could surprise a lot of people in 2026-27. That, at its core, is what Rivers is saying, and it is worth listening to. Jonathan Kuminga is back in familiar territory, stuck in a messy free agency with no deal in sight. For the second consecutive offseason, the former Golden State Warriors forward is at an impasse with a potential suitor over contract expectations that don't match reality. Some Warriors fans are pointing to that fact and calling it vindication. The reality is more complicated than that. Kuminga, who accepted his qualifying offer from the Warriors in 2025 after a drawn-out restricted free agency standoff, is now an unrestricted free agent and still without a contract well into July 2026. The Los Angeles Lakers reportedly offered him a 2-year deal worth $20 million total. Kuminga is reportedly seeking closer to $20 million per season. That gap has proven difficult to bridge, and the negotiations have stalled out with no clear resolution in sight. At first glance, this seems to confirm what the Warriors organization believed all along, that Kuminga was overvaluing himself on the open market and that his expectations did not align with what teams were actually willing to pay. Golden State's decision not to re-sign him to a large long-term extension looks smarter now than it did when the drama first unfolded. But here is the part that Warriors fans need to sit with. Feeling vindicated does not mean the franchise handled the situation correctly. The way Golden State managed Kuminga's development and his restricted free agency in 2025 was widely criticized for good reason. The organization appeared to know for an extended period that it did not want Kuminga as a core piece of its future. Yet instead of converting that conviction into a trade that could have returned meaningful value, the front office held on until the last possible moment. During the 2025 offseason, Kuminga generated real sign and trade interest from other teams. The Warriors reportedly declined to engage seriously with those offers. Rather than extracting assets while Kuminga's value was at a reasonable peak, Golden State waited, and eventually swapped him for Kristaps Porzingis under pressure, in a move that now carries enormous risk. The Porzingis gamble is not without merit. He is a skilled, versatile big man who, when healthy, can stretch the floor and protect the rim in ways that open up spacing for Stephen Curry. But the health question is the entire problem. Porzingis has missed at least 25 games in 5 of the past 6 seasons. He is coming off a mysterious illness that disrupted his 2025-26 campaign. He will turn 31 in August, and joining a roster that already has Jimmy Butler recovering from an ACL tear and Moses Moody rehabilitating a knee injury only amplifies the concern. The Warriors traded a 25-year-old athletic forward with legitimate NBA upside for a 31-year-old injury-prone center in a deal that was widely seen as reactive rather than strategic. If Porzingis stays healthy and contributes meaningfully, the trade can be defended. If he misses another significant stretch of games, Golden State will have paid a steep price for nothing, and the Kuminga opportunity will be gone forever. What makes the situation sting even more is the long-term picture. The Warriors are still operating with one of the oldest projected starting cores in the NBA. They are counting on rookie Yaxel Lendeborg, Brandon Podziemski, Will Richard, and Guy Santos to provide the youth and developmental upside the team needs to compete beyond Stephen Curry's peak years. That group has real potential, but it is exactly the type of young core that a retained or traded Kuminga, handled properly 2 or 3 years earlier, might have helped anchor. Instead, the Warriors watched that opportunity expire. They handled Kuminga's development inconsistently, gave him mixed signals about his role, and then declined to move him when the market was most receptive. Now Kuminga is someone else's headache, possibly the Lakers, possibly another team's, and Golden State is left holding a roster with serious injury questions and a forward depth chart that remains thinner than it should be. The Kuminga saga proves that the Warriors were right about his market value. It also proves they spent too long being right about it quietly, instead of acting on that knowledge when they had leverage. That is not vindication. That is a missed opportunity wearing a mask. The deeper issue is one of organizational philosophy. Golden State has operated in win-now mode for the better part of a decade, treating every season as a championship opportunity without leaving room for long-term planning. Kuminga was a byproduct of that approach. Rather than committing to his development early and clearly defining his role, the Warriors allowed uncertainty to fester until it became a full-blown situation. By the time they decided to move on, the leverage had shifted. Now, as Kuminga explores his options and the Lakers try to bridge the gap on a new deal, the Warriors watch from a distance, neither benefiting from his presence nor from the assets a timely trade could have returned. The hole that Kuminga's departure created at the wing position remains real, and the injury situations surrounding Butler and Moody make that hole even more dangerous heading into 2026-27. No amount of satisfaction over Kuminga's difficult free agency changes the fact that Golden State still needs to fill it. That is the uncomfortable truth. Being right does not always mean you came out ahead.